All right, lesson 4, arriving and setting up camp. You've found that perfect spot, you know, it could even be boondocking, like off grid, but whatever it is, this is about arriving, pulling in, setting up camp, leveling everything, and getting all your gear out of the truck, out of the camper, and getting your sweet spot set up perfectly for you and your family. So when you arrive at your site, there's lots of different places you could potentially be. You could be in an RV park, you could be at a national forest, you could be in a campground, you could be boondocking like we like to do. Some things to think about, like when you're booking a site somewhere, you're gonna see something called pull through versus back in, right? And this is specifically geared towards RVs and RV sites. The reason this is important to pay attention to, if you're not a very good backer-upper, and sometimes it's difficult, definitely go through a pull through site, which is basically you just pull through, you level everything, you get out and you're good to go. Backing up is sometimes tricky for some people, so always understand that. If you're booking and it's an RV site, a pull through is basically when you just pull right through. We tend to be more boondockers, so you really don't know what you're gonna get into until you get there, but I'm gonna talk through all about how to level things out and what you need to unpack and kind of how to set up camp. Once you've found your site and you've pulled in, whether that's on grid or off grid, you always want to make sure that you try to level your RV as close as you can get it to level before you use any like techniques for leveling, whether that be leveling stabilizers that come out, or sometimes people pull up on rocks or boards or stuff to level their RV out. But make sure that you can find the most level spot before you do all these other tricks and tips. Some of the things that come in really handy are stabilizers. There are going to be 4 of them on the front and the back of the camper. You want to drop those down, and what those will do is it will stabilize that RV and give you a really solid ground, so when you're walking around in it, the thing's not moving and shaking. The other thing that you immediately want to do when you get to your site and you found a level ground for your RV is chock your tires. Multiple ways to do this. I have chocks that I carry with me that screw in between my 2 tires in the back. Some people use rocks, some people use logs. The reason you want to chock your tires is because you never really want to trust just your front hitch, where you drop your hitch down, because you never know and that thing could slip. So always make sure you chock your tires with something so your RV doesn't move around. When you found that perfect spot, like I said, and you've gotten your RV as level as you can get it, I turned my propane on. That's important because it's going to run your fridge, and it'll also get you ready to start cooking. Then what we typically do is I pull everything out of the RV and out of the back of the truck, like chairs and tables and shelters and grills and blankets and rugs and whatever we have, and we set up camp kind of in front of the RV. Some of the things you want to do for setup, once you've got your camp set up, is connecting to a power source. So sometimes if you're at an RV site, that means pulling out your power cable and connecting to shore power, right? So if you're at an RV site, that's typically going to be either 50 amps or 30 amps. For us, because we're boondocking, typically what I do is my battery's running low at this point, I will turn on the generator and connect power via the generator to the camper. It's a good thing to kind of keep an eye on that battery to make sure you're powered up and you're good to go for a while. Up next, a 2-day RV adventure.